Oké, ik ga live. Hello, internet. I think everything is running. We're waiting for confirmation of the stream. And we are live. Ha! So, hi! It's been a while. I'm Stijn from This Is Not Rocket Science. And today we are celebrating the launch of our new LFO drumsynth Wobbler² module. I have one here. It's there's also a bunch in the rack in front of me. Today I'm going to give you a small walkthrough to show what it can do, and then mostly just jam and take questions and see wherever this goes. Halfway in the stream, I think we're also going to give away one of the wobblers based on the Instagram contest that we did. Or contest, how do you call this? Please, do you have a name for this? Not yet. Okay. We are not giving it away yet. We are going to select one of the comments from our Instagram post about the wobbler, about the sound of sproing. And yeah, we'll see. So, I have here a bunch of wobblers. What is the wobbler? I don't hear anyone say. Is there anyone in the chat yet? Yeah. Excellent. Originally, years ago, 2017 I think, we came out with Wobbler 1, and I have on my left here, there is a Wobbler 1, and the Wobbler 1 is an LFO, and we called it an advanced LFO because it can do interesting wave shapes slightly further than just a sine wave or a triangle or a pulse, which it can of course also do, but it has things like self-phasing mode, which you get interesting sub-wobbles, and it had a twang, which you needed to give a kick, and it dies out by itself. It even has a double pendulum, which is the same sort of thing, but it's more chaotic, so they interact, but they always chaotically interact. I hope this is visible. Maybe I have to slow it down a bit more. You can see that they sort of interact. Then there's also a sample and hold noisy mode, which is just random values with some glide time. So they glide. And then beyond that, there's a quantized and hold mode, which is, I would have to hook it up right now to make you hear it. But it quantizes to 8 different values before sampling, so you can make slightly more musical sample and hold setups. And the other way, there's also a super slow motion mode, really slowly move through the whole basic wave shape section. But yeah, that was 2017. We've moved on a bit. We wanted to keep this one in production, and due to COVID and international part shortages, we couldn't. And one thing that happened is that the guys at Raspberry Pi sort of bailed us out with some reels of chips, the RP2040, and the chip was so much faster than the one in the original Wobbler, that I had to speed up Wobbler. And what happens when you speed up an LFO? You drop the L, it becomes an oscillator. And if you specifically speed up a Wobbler, you get something that's more like a drum already. So the twang was already sort of a bass drum sound, and the double pendulum was already sort of a chaotic, more snare-ish sound. So instead of just trying to make it an oscillator and then force my way around it and then have 2 drums and some oscillator modes, we just decided to make the whole thing a drum synthesizer as well as an LFO. So with this bang on button that's there, can I zoom in further? I can probably zoom in further. Still hard to read. but there's this button over here. If it's enabled, the thing is in drum mode. If it's dark, it's in LFO. So you can see that it goes into LFO mode. No, there's no sound yet from no. Meanwhile, Priscilla, can you show yourself on camera real quick? She's sitting behind me here. No, that's not the camera. That's the camera. Okay. So the if the light is off, it's still in normal LFO mode. If the light is on, it becomes a drum. And Priscilla made an excellent point, in that nobody can hear a thing yet. So that's something I'm going to fix right now, by means of patch cables. Lots and lots of patch cables. So let's take this one. I have your trigger inputs. Yeah. No, I'll just trigger manually first. So I'll take the outputs and I'll put it to a mixer. There. If I trigger it now, oh, there's a tiny bit of delay on it. There. So where we had the 5 shapes in the original wobbler, is this easy to see? Yeah, so if we have the 5 shapes in the original wobbler that goes sort of from simple to complex to noisy, we have the similar 5 shapes now up there. And if I go back and forth, you'll see the LED. No, wait, need to zoom out again. There. So the top arc of LEDs, you can see which one is active. If I rotate the shape knob, and it goes from bass drums and reverse bass drums through things you can hit through the famous sproing sound, through something that's a snare, then a hi-hat, and then beyond that there's a sort of digital clap thingy going on as well. But yeah, let's hear them. I'll put away the microphone for a second, and I'll just build a beat with 3 of them. And meanwhile, I'll probably get some questions from Priscilla. Oh, one last note. In the bottom left, you can see here there's a Stolperbeats hidden. I am going to be using the Stolperbeats to sequence all these drums for the evening. We have a question from the chat. I am using two things. I'm using a Roland Demora delay, and I'm using the elusive White Rabbit, which is technically doesn't exist yet, but it's coming as well. Well, I'll do a small rabbit solo here. Rabbit will probably get more attention in the next few weeks. The first production run is already underway, but it's not just ours to announce, so to be continued. Otherwise, I'm still using Stolperbeats to sequence 3 wobblers, and using a Wobbler² from the scale over on the left, this LFO, to slowly change the shape on center wobbler. You can see that the shape LEDs are morphing and all the drum models are always updating at the same time, so you can morph from anywhere to anywhere without sort of losing the fact that you triggered earlier. Yeah, but to have this effect a bit more pronounced, I added something a bit sneaky, I admit, but I like it. And this is acceleration, of course. question from the chat again. Let's pause this. The original wobbler, or the LFO wobbler, also in the new one, has two outputs. And here you can see what the different outputs do. And the phase knob, I can make them go in tandem, or I can make them out of sync, out of phase, and back in phase. In drum mode, something slightly different happens. You have one drum output, which is the one on the left, and the one on the right is a matching envelope for that drum. So now for this bass drum, you can see that it tracks the volume of the amplitude. So if I have a longer bass drum, this envelope also takes longer to go down again. But if I put it all the way on the negative side, you get a ducking envelope. So instead of tracking the amplitude, it just reverses. So now it's on when there's no sound, and it drops down as soon as you trigger it, and then slowly climbs back up again. This is very nice in combination with VCAs to make ducking bass lines and, well, just fancy effects that happen on the tail instead of at the drum itself. Now I think I should also explain the amplitude knob on the left, because with the LFO mode, this was just a attenuator that goes from positive to negative and a level on the LFO. In audio mode, or in drum mode, from center to right, it's just a tiny volume curve, and then after about a quarter, it starts to become a distortion. So if I go here, there's no sound because it's in the center. It goes more and more distorted when I go all the way to the right. But if I go to the left, it goes more compressed. So first you get the same volume ramp up again. This is more subtle, but you get more click on the start, and it keeps the sustain and decay longer. You also get a tiny bit of frizzle in the end because it pumps up something that's almost silent back all the way up. So yeah, that's the difference for the level knobs between the LFO attenuators and the drum mode, envelope tracker, and main audio output. I hope that answers the question. I'm going to show one more feature on this thing, because well, we've covered a whole lot of stuff. I've already made different drum sounds with it. I've automated the shape. I've added some LFO to change the length of the drum, because the top left in the drum mode is always just decay length. I also added some accents, because there's accent mode for every drum, which is slightly different for each drum. Like the bass drum adds some overtones to it, some slightly more distorted or triangle-y. I think the hi-hat, the decay changes a bit and the amplitude changes a bit. For the thing and the snare, there's also the internal ratio between the first few harmonics, or at least the even and uneven harmonics go out of shape a tiny bit. I can demonstrate this as well. Let's just demonstrate. Wait. I will use the old wobbler now to just trigger on an even beat. See what happens with the accent. not picking up the blinky LED from the wobbler very well. But this LED over here, if this blinks, that triggers the wobbler. Now I'm using the article to the side of this to use this knob to set the accent level, which is on or off, but I'm just using the knob to change that on or off on the fly. So now there's no accent. Now there is accent. Same thing again, no accent at the moment. So the delay setting is very sensitive on this accent. There we go again. So, no accent, accent. Very subtle things, but they can make a lot of difference when you, in an otherwise static drum setup. So, accents. Do we have any more questions in the meantime? No, people are still just listening. Oh, I think then it's time to show off the next next feature, which is one of those things that we never originally planned for. But the whole RP2040 faster CPU was also not planned for. So by the time we got to the point of the thing is almost done. How much memory do we have left on this thing? Oh, almost 8 megabytes. What can we do with all this memory? And yeah, let's fill it up. So we commissioned a drum sample bank, and also added a whole bunch of our own drum samples. There is a sample playback engine included besides all the drum synth models. To go into this, you have to press the bang on button, keep it pressed, and then press the trigger. And to see that you're in there, you see 2 LEDs are on up there. I'll recenter the camera on all the wobblers. So I'll build a beat that just uses samples now. Long-term plan is that people can also upload their own samples, but that's yeah, some months from now, because first we need to get all the regular stuff out of the door. But this is something that eventually people can replace themselves with their own favorite stuff. Let's go.
There are 7 banks of 7 sounds.
Yeah, Priscilla makes an excellent point. There's 7 banks of 7 drum samples each that it's already preloaded with.
Yes.
Um,
You can change them at some point. But we
Yeah,
like them, so
yes. So let's go. Still hearing 3 wobblers. I have now hooked up all the bank switch knobs. These 3 cables go to a single Ardabil module, and I'm using the Ardabil offset knob with the buffered multiple to change all banks of all 3 wobblers at the same time. So I have set the bank selector all the way to the left on all wobblers, and I'll set them in the middle and full range. So now if I start moving on my Ardabil knob, I will go through different banks, and I'm now playing 3 different sounds of all the banks. Here we go. Let's move to the next bank. And next. And next. sadly not. You can use the accent to do a tiny bit of it, or use the decay thing, but the actual amplitude of the whole thing, no. The cycle outputs, there are outputs, they're not inputs. Sorry, I have to repeat the question because otherwise people will probably hear it. What do the cycle jacks do in drum mode? Specifically, no, I'll go with. I'll stop this one. I'll go back to the original wobbler first, because in the original wobbler, and also in LFO mode, every time the LFO goes through the beginning again, it will blink the LED, and if they're in phase, they'll blink at exactly the same speed. Hard to see because the camera might miss it. Yeah, so blink, blink, blink. So every time you go to repeat the cycle, it will blink, and if they're out of phase, it will just each of the LEDs will blink in its correct rhythm. For the drum mode, this changed a bit because there's no real cycle as such. Wait, I'll how to best explain this. Yeah, it's a run gate. This side is on if the drum sound is not playing. This side is on if it is playing. And the simplest way to demonstrate this is by making a patch with this. 1 second. So one thing you can do is chain them. So when this wobbler is finished, it will trigger the next one, which will then trigger the next one, which will trigger the first one. So let's try that. So this is without a sequencer. Every time a drum is ready, it will trigger the next one and trigger the next one. It can also trigger itself. You can self-patch this thing in many interesting ways, which I'm going to leave up to all you out there. Yeah, if I change the length of the bass drum now, the loop will go faster. Same with the other ones. I hope this explains what the cycle outputs can do in drum mode. The question is, so the phase on the original wobbler has become phase and length for the drum mode, and the mod input is mod and alter, and alter. Stop it. There. The alter is different for each of the drums. So I have here the big manual card, laminated manuals, excellent for trade show visits, completely drool proof. We have for each of the different drums, there's a tiny explanation of what the alter will do. Like for the bass drum, it's the pitch envelope depth, which goes from well, in the center it's 0. Let's try this first unpatch all this cycle stuff, otherwise we get 3 noises every time I press a button. So, there. The alter in the middle there's no pitch envelope. Alter to the right, further to the right, and then to the left you get inverted. And then further to the left you get maximum positive and inverted, which is a bit of a weird one. How pitch goes up, drops down, goes below 0, and goes back up again. So this is just for the bass, and not for the block thingy. It changes all the different modes that are in use, so different shapes of block, different geometries. But yeah, for each of them there's something different, and in drum sample mode that's the knob that you use to select which bank you're using. And I hope that is sufficiently explained now. So, what's next? Do we move on to the thing yet?
Move on to the thing, to the winner.
Because we have like 15 minutes left before people arrive here. Because after this stream we have an actual launch party here. So anyone in Amsterdam that's now that wants to join, send Priscilla a message, and you can get an address and you can hang out with us. Yeah, the snow is not too bad. It's warm inside. We have synthesizers. There's beer. Yeah, come hang out. So yeah, let's do the thing. Do we have a winner?
And the winner is Merkdak. Congratulations!
Oh, he's going to be sad that he just said that he wasn't coming.
Aw, well, we'll send it to you. He said the sproing sound. I'm not giving away any of my sproing secrets, but a kadoing is made with a slinky, some tape, a mic, and a whole lot of grease and a booty clap. That got you a wobbler. Congratulations. So, can you now demonstrate the sproing sound?
So I think we have a number of sproings. This is at least the mode that we've called the sproing in this module. There's also in sample mode we have a whole collection of other sproingy things. So spring. And these get springier if you modulate things as well, of course. So let's try that. question is if I can use the envelope output to dynamically make its own new sound, which is sort of slightly what I've been doing now, because I've been using the envelope to repitch the spring itself. But I can use it in the shape as well. different copy of it.
So the sproing comes from Little Froggy. The little one froggy, that is the summoner of backpackers in Bangkok. Where we first met the little froggies, and we loved the sound so much that it ended up in the new Wobbler. Somebody says basically it's a gyro or guiro, however one pronounces this. This is correct. Yes.
for a second. There. It is powered. I have a show and tell thingy here. There is an RP2040 inside there, which is the same chip that Raspberry made for the Raspberry Pico platform. And there is a USB connector on the top of the module. And you can just plug into your laptop or in any computer or whatever. And if you press 2 buttons on the wobbler while it's on, the whole thing will go into disk drive mode. You can just drag and drop a new sample binary on top of there. It's not regular WAV files. There's still some conversion process that needs to happen before that can be done. But I'm also working on that to maybe see if I can just make a web USB website type thing where you can just drag and drop WAV files onto a website and rearrange your bank and then press upload. And it should just work. So that's I hope that answers the question. And I think we need to slowly shut down the stream now. Are we? Do we have any open questions?
No, I don't think so.
So, then, unless there's any last-second requests, I think we close down and prepare for our bubbles.
Yes.
Bubbles. Thank you all for hanging out with us this evening. We'll be back faster than this time, way before Superbooth, I hope, with other modules and other things and more jam sessions. Hopefully now we have the stream setup working again. We can do this more often. See you all soon.